Is Meghan Markle in the process of resurrecting her lifestyle blog, The Tig? Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany and today we are going to be talking about the possibility, the very distinct possibility that Meghan Markle is finally just inching closer to restarting and re-promoting her blog, The Tig, where she shared about lifestyle, fashion, food, beauty, and sometimes asked famous people 5 or 6 inane questions, including a princess at one point and Ivanka Trump of all people. And she acted like she was asking them these very profound questions. And they were like very simple, like what's the one book you would take with you to a deserted island or something to that effect. These weren't very deep questions, yet she promoted it as if she was probing them to get their innermost thoughts, which she definitely was not. And we may be subjected to more of this. And as Archwell for her archetypes, once it ends, is that going to be the opportunity for her to relaunch this and go, you want to continue with archetypes? Check out my blog, The Tig. And it's possible that she may not, but Meghan Markle, at the end of the day, she wants to be Gwyneth Paltrow. She wants to be a Hollywood superstar. And so what she really needs is a blog and a platform where people can really follow her. And The Tig definitely fits that bill. And I would not be surprised in the slightest if she resurrected it, or if she resurrected it under a different name, which I would recommend because from a branding standpoint, it's really terrible. So today, guys, we will be talking a bit about The Tig and some of those things that she could be doing with it and why I think, again, Meghan Markle is just the worst when it comes to being royal. She really, really stinks at this. But if you guys haven't been here before, like I said, my name is Brittany, and on this channel, I provide to you very compelling royal commentary about the latest news and gossip. So if you absolutely love royals, I also will be reviewing television shows and movies and sharing a bit of history too. I plan to do a review and discussion on a live stream about the latest season of The Crown. So if that's something of interest to you, we'll be doing that next week. And I also have a fashion channel called Royal Fashion News. So if you love royals and you love royal fashion, especially if you love tiaras and jewelry, we have Tiara Tuesday every week. In addition, I review all the best and worst fashion looks of the week on Saturday morning. So if you guys want to check that out, I will put a link in the description box down below. But The Tig, guys. The Tig is coming back. We've heard that The Tig is coming back. We've heard this many, many times. And again, I'm not entirely surprised that this will be the case because Meghan Markle needs a platform. And while she says she despises social media, she loves social media. I'm sure it irks her to no end that she's not on it and that she can't be pushing back against all the negative narratives about herself that she hates so much. So resurrecting The Tig is a great starting point, and I think something Meghan is really, really interested in. So how do we know this? Well, apparently she has been in the process of trying to trademark it, and she applied for it at some point last year. It got rejected. And so now she's adjusting it and she's applying again to hopefully finally get this thing settled. And I understand from a business standpoint, just as a caveat, this could be entirely a business move because obviously The Tig is now a name. So Meghan wants to protect it so that other people won't use it. Although Meghan, from a marketing standpoint, The Tig is an awful name. Nobody wants it. So yeah, you won't have any problem with anybody trying to steal it. Just putting that out there. When I first heard The Tig, all I could think of was Tigger. And then she had this long explanation about how she got to the name The Tig. And you might have a Tig moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Your thing makes no sense. Your thing makes utterly no sense. But Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan, because I feel like she leads a lot of their branding, I will say Sussex Royal, I think it was good branding, although I will say I believe it was cheap in a way. It kind of cheapened the Royal brand because it was too slogany maybe, although it did really work too. So I will say I give her mad props for that one. But Archwell, archetypes, The Tig, it's all awful. I'm sorry. It's just really bad in terms of branding and name. So, and I'm not an expert, guys. I will say that. I'm just sharing my personal opinion. If she had, yeah. So she's planning on resurrecting this, I think. And I feel like this has always been part of the plan because at the heart, Meghan Markle is an influencer. She's an influencer person type. That's who she is. She doesn't really have the depth to really do much else. And I don't feel like she has as much talent as she thinks she does. Otherwise, she would have been in Oscar caliber roles before dating Harry. Of course, she was just in Suits. That was her most well-known role before marrying Harry, was this role in Suits. So I feel like if she had done better, if she was a better actress, she would have gone further, especially because she did have an in the industry with her father. Her father could have helped her get roles. She had a husband who was producer. If she had a significant amount of talent, she would have gone far. But as the Suits was declining and Meghan Markle was trying to figure out different income streams, she's like, okay, well, maybe I'll create the TIG and it'll be a competition to Goop. Gwyneth Paltrow's thing I don't get. But I will say Gwyneth Paltrow, Goop actually is a interesting, unique brand name, because Goop you put on your face, there's like a goopness, like it kind of inspires curiosity, I feel like, to me. The Tig, I just think of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. That's always what I think of. And just for fun, let's read why Meghan named it this. Hold on. So she named it after the Tignanello wine, and she said the first time she took a sip, she was like, it was an aha moment at its finest. For me, it became a Tig moment, a moment of getting it. So she named it Tig, you know, because she reversed the T and the I and then added a G, and bada bing, bada boom, she has a brand name. Again, I don't think it's the best brand name. And I don't feel like it inspires and explains what it is. So Meghan started the TIG in 2014, I think in part because she knew her time on Suits was probably going to wind down. She didn't really have many prospects beyond Suits, because at that point she had decided early in her career she didn't really want to work on improving her acting prowess and skill. And after a certain age, this is just reality in Hollywood. Unless you're constantly playing bit characters, usually at some point you have to be a character actress to continue working. You actually have to be pretty decent. You can't just be the pretty young thing. You actually have to be able to act. And that wasn't really Meghan's skill set. So she had tried Hallmark movies. I don't feel like those went well. She had a couple other things. I don't think anything went well. So she's like, okay, I will start my lifestyle blog, because everybody wants to know about Meghan Markle's travel, her food, her workouts, her blog. And I don't know who read this before, who came across this, but you know, it's very much influencer-y. I'm sure some people found her just by courtesy and extension of being an influencer. But I feel like she marketed it as something much deeper than it actually was. So she had something called the TIG Talks, where she would talk to celebrities, and your talk gives the impression that you're actually talking to them. But here's what it actually was. She probably sent about, for Emmy Rossum, it was 6 questions, which I'm sure Emmy Rossum's assistant answered. So she explains how she got to meet Emmy Rossum, that they sat next to each other at the recent Elle Magazine Women's and Television Dinner as a guest of my dear friend Joe Zoe. So Meghan was a guest at this dinner because she wasn't invited by herself, because Emmy was at that point still in Shameless. I don't think it didn't really win a ton of awards, but it was very well received by most people. At least the American version was. I know the British version was probably better, because usually British versions of television shows that we acquire and change are better. But anyways, so Emmy was on this show, and she was very, very well respected in the show. And so these are the 7 questions Meghan asked. What's her nickname? My nickname is Emmy Gray. First thing I do when I wake up, cuddle with my dogs and put on a pot of coffee. I can't live without laughing each day. If I had 1 week to escape, I would hop on a boat down the Amazon. If I only had $10 in my pocket, I would start singing on the street for money. That's actually pretty smart. Emmy Rossum is well known for being a good singer too. Everything tastes better with Berta cheese. So I remember seeing those for the first time when Meghan Markle was first coming on the scene. And I remember thinking, okay, those are the lamest questions you could possibly ask somebody. Now, it's kind of interesting. I feel like those would be good at like the end of a long interview or something, that you've gotten to know somebody. But they're just so bland and banal and inane. Like, do I really care what Emmy Rossum does the first thing, like when she wakes up in the morning, the first thing? No, I don't care in the slightest. I care about as much as I care about what Meghan does first thing in the morning. Again, there's just something I don't care. And that's probably because I'm not the person that the TIG is promoted to. But I'm going to guess, as Meghan Markle is trying to reformat it, we'll get more of this. Because we've gotten a lot of this in the Archetypes podcast, where she's trying to tell everybody, she's trying to sound very, very smart. And I think she is probably fairly intelligent, but she's not as smart as she thinks she is. She has these conversations where she's she's wanting to sound deep and stuff, but if you really looked beyond the surface, they're really not that interesting. So I feel like this will be more of that. But why the TIG? Why is she resurrecting this? Because she should be beyond this now. She is a duchess. She has a huge production company. She has all these different things that she is apparently hustling to do. So why resurrect the TIG? You would think that would be technically a giant step back for her. And I would argue first that it is. This is a giant step back if she does do this. Not maybe perhaps in her own mind she doesn't think that way, but in the public minds it will be a giant step back. And everybody will go sit back and go, okay, so yeah, you really did just want to do this, didn't you? You didn't really care about the monarchy or anything like that. Okay. This just confirms it for everyone, which I feel like she did in her own podcast recently, saying, well, the British citizenship test was hard. And I asked Harry, and it's like, well, if you asked Harry, then you wanted to fail, because that poor guy, unfortunately, could barely graduate high school. Apparently, they did actually have to help him cheat in art to get him to graduate high school. So if you're relying on Prince Harry to kind of get you through, I don't think that was probably not the best idea in the world. But I feel like this is Meghan's attempt, because so far from what we've seen, most of the things they've done have not done well. They don't have something for Netflix yet. And even the thing they do have is apparently crap, according to Meghan. It's not as good as she wanted it to be. Now, crap perhaps is an exaggeration. But what this tells me is that she's already telling the world it's not good. And that's bad. If I was Netflix, I'd be upset that Meghan Markle is coming over and already saying, A, that she doesn't watch it, and B, and she admitted in the Variety interview, she scrolls through things and can't find anything to watch, and then when she finally says what she wants, it's White Lotus, which was from HBO, which is a competitor to Netflix. So she's like torpedoing her own deals. Because if Meghan Markle, she's so dedicated to spinning these tales about the monarchy. I was just listening to Megyn Kelly's interview with Christopher Anderson, and she was basically saying, well, she lies. I'm like, yeah, I think that's true. So Meghan can't lie and say she's watching Stranger Things, even if she could care less. I think she could probably say that to appease her Netflix overlord. So I don't think that's going particularly well. We also have the Spotify. Now, granted, she was #1 for like the first week or two, but I really feel like that was something artificial that Spotify does to promote new content, because we know Joe Rogan's podcast, every episode gets 11 million views. And I doubt anything else on Spotify, except for maybe a couple of things, are getting those numbers, are getting those levels. So I highly, highly doubt that Meghan is actually achieving the same levels as Joe Rogan is. And every week, I feel like her podcast comes out, it gets kind of lower on the scale in terms of how many people are actually listening to it. It gets, I feel like at this point, let me double check. So the latest episode debuted at number 31, and that's about where they're debuting at. So people really don't want to listen. And the thing is, as well as the media consumes all this and the media discusses it, the public is looking at it going, I don't need to listen to the podcast, because Meghan Markle's podcasts are bare to get through. They're not easy to get through at all. So the public's like, well, I don't really need to listen to Meghan, because the media will consume it and the media will tell us everything that's in it. So they're kind of like, we don't need to do that. So I feel like the public, they're starting to get Meghan Markle fatigued. And so what Meghan Markle is going to do, well, she's going to go back to what she knows, which I feel like has always been her goal, which is the TIG. She was, I feel like, very focused on that. She even had a personalized clutch made, and that's a designer clutch. They're kind of famous for personalizing things. Beatrice Casaraghi, or Beatrice Borromeo, she actually got that and it said Mrs. Casaraghi on it right after her weddings. Well, Meghan Markle got one that said Ms. Tig. I mean, come on. The obsession with that name, I feel like, is so ridiculous, because it's so bad. It's so bad, because I feel like from a marketing, it's just not easy to market. So Meghan has this, I feel like it's her Hail Mary, because that's where she's comfortable at. Because at the heart, Meghan Markle's speed, Meghan Markle's focus, Meghan Markle's abilities really fit more of an influencer profile than anything else she's tried. It's really about just being an influencer. That's what she wants to be. She wants to be Gwyneth Paltrow. She wants to have this fame and fortune she was always desperate for, and to have people clamoring to go on a cruise with her like Gwyneth Paltrow has. So I feel like taking the next step and resurrecting the Tig is completely in Meghan Markle's wheelhouse. I totally see that coming to fruition at some point. And maybe it's not the name, the Tig, maybe she changes it. But at the same time, I feel like when I see Meghan, I feel like she's clamoring for, she loves the money. She loves the influence. She loves the platform that Harry's given her. But at the same time, I don't feel like there's that much connection between her and Harry. And I'm not going down on the separation rumors. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying at one point there was the magic of their relationship in the beginning. But I feel like that's starting to fall apart. And she's clamoring for her days when she was single and she had a lot more control over her life and over her image. And nobody was questioning her. Because Meghan Markle has always been desperate for a platform where she can stand and she can tell her truth all the time. And I feel like the Tig will be that. And that might have been why in the interview with The Cut, she kind of did this thing where she's like, I'm getting back on social media. And then like 2 minutes later, it's like, oh, no, I'm not. Well, Meghan, which is it? You need to be consistent about it. You're getting interviewed by New York Magazine. You can't be flipping sides all the time. That's just not how this works. So it'll be interesting to see again what happens, but I am not surprised in the slightest that a resurrection of the Tig is coming. And I feel like we will see this very, very soon. And I feel like it'll be a Hail Mary. It shows us that things, I think if Meghan resurrects the Tig and goes on this kind of lifestyle influencer blog thing, I think it'll be a sign that really all their other deals in Hollywood have not gone well for them. That's what I feel like that'll signify, is that everything has not gone well. So Meghan's going back to what she knows, which is that blog that she controlled, that she got to ask people inane and very simple and very questions that nobody really cares about. And she got to live this life that she wanted to live. I feel like that's Meghan's speed. That's where she wants to be at. All this other stuff, again, she loves the money, she loves the influence, she loves the press and everything. But at the end of the day, she just doesn't have the talent to pull off what her and Harry are trying to do. And I feel like things are falling apart behind the scenes. I could be totally wrong. This is just my opinion. But I feel like things are falling apart behind the scenes. And I feel like she's struggling to figure out how to navigate all this in light of the fact that there's a distinct possibility that, hey, things may not go that way for them. After the memoir comes out, the reality TV show, their popularity might tank even further. It might go bare boards, baseboard, lowest of the low. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. What do you think of Meghan Markle resurrecting the Tig? Are you for, against, or are you surprised? Not surprised, guys? Yeah, again, not surprised. I feel like she's had all this stuff back in the wings, in the waiting. As soon as she left the British monarchy, I feel like she had no intention of staying there in the slightest. And she was just going to go back and try to resurrect these things as quickly as possible, but she does need the trademark, so it could be a business move just to protect that trademark and that brand. But again, guys, let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon. Bye.